Hello everyone and welcome to Life Transformation UK. My name is Ben, and in this video today I want to talk to you about whether or not you are being a perfectionist, why that might not be the best thing for you, and also how to overcome this state of mind in your life. Now, before we continue, I should first of all explain why, in my opinion, perfectionism is not necessarily a good thing. When I was younger, I really thought perfectionism was one of my positive traits. I thought that if I was always trying to make things the absolute best that they could be, what could possibly be wrong with that? And I imagine there's a lot of people out there who do think that. It might even be you that is thinking that watching this video right now. But I can assure you, perfectionism is not a particularly helpful mindset to be in at all. And the reason for this is that perfectionism prevents you from taking the action that you need to take in order to achieve your goals. If you're always waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, the perfect set of steps in order to take the action that you need to take, you're going to be waiting for a very, very long time, if not forever. And as I've said time and time again on this channel, the number one key to achieving your goals is taking consistent action. And if something is preventing you from doing that, then it necessarily has to be either eliminated or the way we approach the goal has to change. But in the case of perfectionism, it is better for it to be eliminated so that you can actually move forward and achieve the things that you want to achieve. So, how do you know if you are being a perfectionist? Well, the first clue is that you might only ever feel good when you achieve huge, massive things in your life, and everything else, the small achievements or even the medium-sized achievements, just don't seem like enough. It never seems like you are doing enough or that you have done enough in your life, and that can be a really, really hard thing to sit with because you're not accepting the many successes you're having on a daily, or at the very least on a regular basis. If you only measure your weight loss journey on whether or not you have absolutely ripped six-pack abs, you're going to miss all of the little successes along the way to achieving that goal. Losing your first pound of weight, eating healthy for 1 week, consecutive 7 days. That first session in the gym, the first time you run 5 kilometers consecutively, all these little wins you're missing because the only goal you have your mind set on is developing these perfect six-pack abs. And chances are, even when you do get those perfect six-pack abs, they're never going to be quite good enough because they won't be as good as this particular model on the front of this magazine or this Instagram influencer or whoever it is. So that's perhaps the first clue, that you're not feeling good about yourself unless you are achieving massive things bigger than everyone else, really. And it is okay to strive towards these things, but always make sure that you are considering and accepting and also rewarding yourself for the little wins along the way. This is why I'm not so much of a big fan of massive action as many self-help gurus tend to be. I'm more of a small, consistent action over time creating massive results person, because that's how most winners do it. They don't go out there and become overnight successes. Nobody is an overnight success. You have to work up whatever the goal is for a long time, and then one day you'll be able to shoot up. You'll have that hockey stick moment where everything is going relatively flat and then it just erupts. But until then, it's little changes, little actions over time that move you towards achieving your goal. The next clue that you might be a perfectionist is that you can't really handle setbacks or disappointments. Because perfectionists spend so long trying to make sure that the plan is absolutely perfect, the minute something unexpected comes along to push that plan back, or where there is a slight failure or a disappointment or some kind of criticism or critical feedback, you can often find yourself completely shut down because it's not something that was expected. You expect that if you are following a perfect plan, then nothing could possibly go wrong, and when it does, it can seriously derail your motivation and momentum. So if you're finding yourself very easily derailed by things like setbacks, disappointments, critical feedback, things like that, then you might very well be a perfectionist as well. And you need to always ask yourself, what is the underlying motivation? What is driving this particular behavior? And in this case, it could very well be perfectionism. Another one is too much planning and too little action. This was very much me a few years ago. I spent so much time planning everything, making sure that I was trying to get the most perfect plan possible and taking very, very little action. And because of that, I was creating very, very little results. The two need to be inverted. You need to be taking as much action as you can, little things, little daily consistent actions on a regular basis, and keep planning down to a minimum. You want to have a very, very detailed plan that you've worked out at some point, but once you've made that plan, don't dwell on it all the time. Just follow the plan and maybe spend 5% of the time planning to the 95% of the time action taking. Your plans don't need to be super detailed, they just need to be enough that you are moving forward and that you're flexible enough to potential changes, setbacks and disappointments. And then the final thing is in two parts. Perfectionists often feel guilt for not being enough. And this is something that I covered in the free self-esteem course that I created very recently, which you can find on this channel. It's a 7-part video series where I go through everything from what self-esteem is, how low self-esteem is caused, and into methods on how to fix that and raise your self-esteem. So check those out if you haven't done already. But not being enough is a huge part of it. It's a huge driver of perfectionism. So if you are getting this feeling of feeling guilty for not being enough, not doing enough, not having enough, then that could potentially be stemming from perfectionism again. And on the other side of that is overcompensation, believing that you are better than other people, believing that you have to be better than everyone else. Arrogance, narcissism, these kinds of things are often very difficult to identify in ourselves, so looking out for cues from others can really help with this. But if you have resonated with any of the things that I've gone through in the last few minutes, then you may very well be a perfectionist. So in what remains of this video, I want to share with you 3 simple tools that you can use to overcome perfectionism in your life. And the first one is something that I have spoken about on this channel before. The first one is self-compassion. Self-compassion is all about treating yourself like your best friend. As I said, with perfectionism, you can oftentimes be very, very resistant to critical feedback. It can make you feel kind of judged and horrible on the inside. Setbacks, disappointments, failures, all of these things can really negatively impact you if you do have this perfectionist mindset. So what self-compassion teaches you is how to forgive yourself and how to love yourself when these things happen, because they are going to happen. And once you start really letting these things into your life, they're going to happen at an alarming rate. And you shouldn't be concerned or worried about this, because mistakes and failures are how we best learn. So if you think all I'm doing is I'm trying to take action, but things keep happening and obstacles keep coming up and mistakes are being made and sometimes it doesn't all work out, that is all part of the journey. If it was a straight line to achieving goals, then everyone would be able to do it, and I wouldn't be coaching, I wouldn't be creating this kind of content or this YouTube channel. None of it would exist because everyone would know exactly what to do. So compassion is going to help you forgive yourself and build a sense of understanding for yourself as well when these things do happen, because they will happen, and you have to have the right mental toolkit to deal with them when they do. So I would encourage you to really start working on building up that self-compassion mental muscle, forgiving yourself when things go wrong, taking it easy on yourself, and treating yourself like you are your own best friend. You wouldn't treat your best friend in a horrible way. You wouldn't call them names, you wouldn't berate them for failures, you would be encouraging and supporting. So treat yourself like you would your best friend and build that self-compassion in your life. The next thing is something that I've already alluded to in this video, which is act more than you plan. There are so many coaches and again self-help gurus out there who primarily focus on mindset because they think mindset is going to get you to where you need to go, and mindset is such a small part of self-improvement, far less than half. So action is the key. Taking action and allowing yourself to be open to making mistakes and screwing up, because that in and of itself is still going to be progress towards your goal, because you're learning, okay, this is how I don't do it. Every failure, every setback, every disappointment is like your sat nav telling you which direction to go next, redirecting you around traffic and obstacles and things like that. So embrace these things when they happen and just start taking action. It doesn't matter how many times you get rejected, how many times you fail, how many times you get disappointed, how many setbacks you have, as long as you're taking action, moving forward, you're going to learn the best way to get around these obstacles and move towards your goal. And the final thing is to know who you are, because every single one of us is an imperfect being. We are not meant to be perfect, we're not meant to be striving towards perfection. Every single one of us in one way or another is imperfect, and that is absolutely fine. Every single one of us has these imperfections and it's not a bad thing. I'm too sarcastic. I am prone to bursts of anger. I sometimes sit down and eat an entire box of donuts quietly in my room. All these things are my imperfections, but they are who I am. I can change my habits and behaviours, I can change some of these things, but at the end of the day, mistakes, failures, setbacks, disappointments, they're part of me, they're part of my identity, they are part of my authenticity. So learn who it is that you truly are and try to be your authentic self. Don't try to be like other people, don't try to be like that guy on YouTube, that girl on Instagram, that actor or actress on TV. It doesn't matter about really who they are, it's all about who you are and you living your life in accordance with your authenticity and your true self. So I hope you have found this video useful. If you have done, as always, please make sure to leave a like and a comment letting me know what it is that you're going to be doing to transform your life today. And while you're down there, why not subscribe to the channel as well so that you can keep up to date with more content like this in the future. I do hope that you have found this video useful, that it is going to be helpful to you in overcoming perfectionism. So thank you very much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video very soon.